thank you for coming up today. We just wanted to tell you a little bit about the BioSway. So basically, what the BioSway is a force platform that when we have an athlete stand on it, on this platform, they'll stand with their heels here, and they will stand there, try to stand perfectly still for 30 seconds with their eyes open, and the computer will measure how much sway they have. Then I'll have them do it again with their eyes closed for 30 seconds, and then they'll step off. We'll put this foam on there on the device, and then they'll stand back up on the platform with their eyes open for 30 seconds and their eyes closed for 30 seconds. Now what this does is it takes, the computer then takes that data and develops a score on the CTSIB, which is a standardized test of balance for the vestibular system. And as you might know, the vestibular system is the last system to come back online after a concussion. So this machine doesn't test for concussions necessarily. What the machine does is it tests the changes in your balance. So we do it when the athlete's perfectly healthy before they get injured, and then we can test them again after they get a concussion, if they get a concussion during the season. And then that can then give us some data to help the doctor make a good decision on whether or not to let them play. The NFL uses this technology. They adopted it after all their lawsuits. And so they use it to determine when it is safe for athletes to return back to activity. And their standards are when you're within 15% of your baseline score, you can return back to activity from a vestibular standpoint. You still have to pass other tests, but just for the vestibular system, this is what they use.
Okay. For us normal folks, go a little more into vestibular and.
Okay. So very good. So there's several things that make your balance. Your balance is a complicated thing. You know, the feeling in your feet is one thing that makes you have good balance. Your vision is something that helps with your balance, and then your inner ear is something that gives you some. So you've all been a little dizzy from time to time, and so basically this machine tests those three areas by having you stand on foam. We take your feet out of the equation, so you don't have a solid surface to stand on, and then we can also have you close your eyes, which takes your vision out of the equation. And those things all let us kind of see those different scores, and we can kind of determine whether, how you've responded to the injury.
Okay, so you were talking about like for Little League teams to be able to do this, so they would have to come and do, or this can go out in the field, obviously, the unit.
Well,
or would they have to come here?
They have to come here.
Okay.
But like I said, it takes about 4 minutes to enter their information into the thing and to do the test. It's something that we are not charging for, and even for the follow-up test if they need it.
Okay.
You see, we started this company over in the Sequatchie Valley, and we had one of our young men who passed away back in 2011. Now, this machine wouldn't have saved him. He had a congenital problem. But back when that happened and he passed away on us, it really got us to thinking about taking the life and death stuff of these athletes very seriously. And so we started looking at ways that we could offer things to the community to make it safer on the athletes. And this was one of those things that we did.
Okay, but you would come and you would do the pre-test.
Yes.
So if they're playing and they get hurt, what do they do?
So they would go, first of all, they'd go down here to Ray Medical Center to the ER and get tested and make sure they're okay. Because that's step one. You got to make sure the person's medically stable, because you can get a brain bleed or other things. So you make sure you're medically stable. But then in the days to follow, when the doctor and the coach and everybody's trying to make a decision when it's safe to play, you can come back to the office here again. We test you again and give that information back to your doctor. Like I said, this isn't an emergency test.
Okay.
This is you've had time to rest and recuperate. We're adding another level of safety before you return on the field.
Right. So you're just getting a baseline, and this will allow them to see that they're back to that baseline.
Yes.
On that particular item.
Historically, people have returned back to sport too soon. That's been the problem. They just go, my bell, I've been doing this for 25 years on the sidelines with athletes, and I've heard coaches for years say, he just got his bell rung, go back in there, that sort of thing. But those days are behind us. We've got to make sure these kids are safe before we start just saying, yeah, they can play or no, they can't play.